Hi guys, it's me, Millie, and today I'm sitting here alone again because I went on another holiday and I want to tell you guys about it. And Tiasha is lounging in bed right now, so we're going to get her the rest that she deserves. I'm going to make this kind of short and sweet just because I don't want to be that crazy aunt that like takes you through a slideshow of her photos after her trip, but I just kind of wanted to run you through where I went and what it was like and how much fun I had and just kind of like rub it in. Ignore my hair, I just had to have a shower and it is wet and I couldn't find my blow dryer. And I don't want to wake Tiasha and ask where it is. But I promise it's not like 14 weeks unwashed. I just washed it. Okay, so I recently, about 2 weeks ago, went on a trip to America. I went with my boyfriend's family who was so lovely and kind enough to take me, and I had an incredible time. We went to Aspen for a week and we went to New York for a week. And I gotta say, I was most excited for New York, obviously, because I've grown up just absorbing everything New York in every pop culture and every rom-com. I'm a real rom-com person. I'm a real like sappy proclamations of love at Grand Central Station kind of gal. So I was so excited to go and see those places. So we took 6 flights over the course of 2 weeks. We went from Sydney to San Francisco to Aspen, and then after our week in Aspen, we went from Aspen to Denver to New York, and then New York to home. So it was a lot of flying. I'm not scared of flights, but I don't love takeoff and landing, if you know what I mean. And there was a really, like between Aspen and Denver and Aspen and San Fran, it was like a tiny plane and I was a little spooked. Aspen was beautiful and exactly like something out of a Christmas rom-com on Netflix with Vanessa Hudgens. It was just like visually incredible. I don't ski or snowboard, my boyfriend does and his family do, so they were there for that, and I was just gonna like wander the streets, maybe have a bit of a shop, but upon getting there I realized I'm not gonna have a bit of a shop because everything is Chanel and Gucci and Louis Vuitton and I am not about that life. I was just like, okay, so I can't shop, I can't ski. So I sat by the fire a lot, I watched 2 seasons of Fleabag, I got sick, and I drank a lot of Robitussin and lay in bed for about 4 days, which kind of sucked. But I did go to the museum and saw the Yayoi Kusama Infinity Room. It wasn't the worst thing, I was more grateful that I didn't get sick in New York and that I did get sick in Aspen, but it was like a nice relaxing, it was like the relaxing part of the trip, you know what I mean? Like a beach holiday except that I'm sick in bed. So instead of laying in the sun, I'm laying coughing my guts up. Aspen really is beautiful, but it truly, like, the wealth shook me a lot. As someone that, like, I don't have a lot of money, but going there on holiday, like, apparently the snow was amazing, but the wealth of the town is, like, crazy. Like, coffees are, like, $10. And like I said, every shop is high-end. Just threw me a little bit to see that kind of, like, 1%. Like, it shook me. But it was a beautiful holiday. I'm super grateful that I got to go, but Aspen is expensive and I don't recommend it unless you're like super into skiing. There are cheaper ski places. That's like pretty much all I have to say about Aspen, but I'm going to show you some clips and show you how beautiful and picturesque it was. And I took a bunch of photos on my film camera and I just really liked being like a ski town. I didn't really feel like I was in America yet at that point because ski towns kind of blur the line between reality and like, they feel like a fictional old town. They don't feel like America, they don't feel like Australia, they just feel magical. New York. We were driving from the airport. We landed in New York, New Jersey, which My Chemical Romance birthplace, and we were driving in an Uber, and I was like, oh boy. We were staying in Manhattan on 97th and 6th. I've forgotten now, it's been too long, but we were staying in Manhattan in the Upper East Side. We went in winter and it was like freezing. I really like chasing winter. I like going on holiday to places where it is cold and snowing because Australia is obviously so hot. I think it's nice to have a different change of weather, especially as someone that does not like heat. The best thing for me, I'm going to quickly run you through my favorite story, is that we went to the Comedy Cellar 2 nights in a row while we were there. I don't know if you guys know, but the Comedy Cellar is like this iconic comedy club in New York. It's at the beginning of like Louis' show, and like any comic that's anyone goes up there. And these days, and I think for a long time, comics that are like really big go there to just try new material, and so they can just drop in at any time and you don't know if they're gonna come in. And one night we went and no one like big was on the bill or anything, but we were sitting at our table and they were like, oh, this next guy is from Saturday Night Live. And I was like, cool. And they were like, yeah, everyone welcome to the stage, John Mulaney. And I was like, Real quick disclaimer, John Mulaney's my favorite comedian. So in that moment I felt like I had blacked out and literally died, and I was hallucinating this entire thing. I looked over at my boyfriend and his brother and I was like, and that was like the best thing to happen, because I was like, of all the comedians in America and in New York, to have my favorite come on stage was sick. And he did like 20 minutes of material and it was sick. It was sick. Can't exclaim enough how sick it was. My second favorite thing to do was walk around Central Park and read the plaques on the benches. Apparently for like $10,000 you can dedicate a plaque to someone, and some of the messages were so sweet. There was one that was like, oh, for my dear Bridget, who loves this park and I love her. Like, just, I warned you I was into sappy shit, so that got me. For museums, we only had like a few hours per museum. And I want to hear your opinion on this, because when I'm in a rush for a museum, like I was being rushed by external pressures, I would rather move through it quite quickly. I'm not saying like run through the halls. I'm saying like, look at it, move on, look at it, move on. And just kind of get to see everything, instead of taking my sweet ass time with one thing and then missing out on like, oh, it's time to go and we didn't get to wing 2 and 3. I would rather see everything quickly than one thing in depth. I was at war because I was doing that and my boyfriend was like reading every plaque, and I was like, I'm going to end it. Yeah, then when I got back and I told everyone that, they were like, you need to appreciate a museum, you need to read the plaques. And I was like, I know you do. I just would rather like not miss out on seeing Starry Night, because I was looking at like ancient Egyptian stuff for 3 hours, which I'm all about because I'm half Egyptian, but we were in there for a very long time. And there was like some Monets upstairs that I was trying to scoot to. In terms of museums, we went to the Museum of Modern Art, Starry Night, and we saw so many iconic paintings and just ridiculous. Ridiculous to see that much art in one place. And then we also went to the Metropolitan Museum of Art, which if I can't, it's so big, guys. And if you've been to New York and you've been to the Met, you know it is big. And it could take you like a week alone just to check that place out and kind of get a really good grasp on it. So we only had a few hours. We went there on one day and we're like, this is so good. And we went back on our last day. I would definitely spend like 3 days straight there if I had the time. The Met blew me away, and I can't believe just how big and how much there is in it. As a tourist, Times Square was everything I wanted it to be and more. People had told me that it was going to be smaller than I expected, but it was kind of exactly the same as I thought it would be. As you guys know, I'm really into Japan, and so for me, places like Shibuya and Times Square get me. Like, give me the big neon advertisements. I'm a capitalist pig. I just want to see like big blinding lights. Regardless of whether they're telling me to buy Louis Tomlinson's new single, I don't care. I just want to see those lights. So for me, Sydney doesn't have anything like that. We don't have like a big electronic metropolis moment. So I really like going to those, you know, big city tourist spots, because I'm a sucker. As you can tell from my I Love New York shirt. Day one, babies. Day one, I got this shirt and these pants. I'm sorry, I am that girl. This was my New York midnight, I'm sorry. We had the pleasure of hanging out with these family friends that have lived in New York for like 30 years. And they were the coolest people in the world, the smartest, the most entertaining, and they took us on tours of the city and took us to like the coolest places like Zabar's Deli and multiple delis actually, it was mostly delis, but I had a really, really good time. And it was just really nice to hang out with people that knew the city and kind of were locals and understood like what to show a tourist. Because they showed us obviously like the main sites and the big boys, but then they'd also show us the history of buildings that I would have just walked past. They were like, oh, we need to stop here because this is where John Lennon got shot. And I was like, that's a building that I would have just been like, I'm on the way to the station, and just walked past it. So I was like super happy that we had people there that could show us around. They also found out about my YouTube channel, so if they're watching, hello. Also went to an ice hockey game, which was really fun. I'm not a sports person, but I do love live sports because the ambience and vibe is chill. I love getting a hot dog, love getting a beer, sitting down and being like, I can watch sports that way, you know what I mean? That's the most palatable way to watch sports. We saw the New York Rangers versus the Toronto Maple Leafs, and it was very fun. That game is dangerous and terrifying, and I would never let my son or daughter play it because they be smashing. Went to Broadway and we saw To Kill a Mockingbird, and it was really, really, really good, and I cried. I actually didn't know the story of To Kill a Mockingbird. I think a lot of people studied it for like the HSC, but I didn't. It was really good. I cried. The acting was just really good, and I love theatre, and I've now got like a New Year's resolution to go to more theatre here because I'm sleeping on it and I just have such a good time. And when we were first planning this trip, I was like, I'd love to go to a musical, because I am that girl. I love a musical, but I'm actually super thankful that we went to a play. It's something out of my comfort zone, and I'm really glad I did it. Just quickly, I'm gonna touch on the food I ate because it was incredible, and y'all were right, like dollar pizzas are everything, dollar hot dogs are everything. Everything from a street stall is everything. The food in America is really cool. So I had Chick-fil-A at the airport, and it was okay. It was kind of like KFC to me, so it's not like I'm missing anything here. It was delicious. This chicken was seasoned, but it was not too far from what I can get here in terms of like KFC or just chicken places. We also went to Chipotle, and that was really good. I got a bowl with like corn and stuff. It was delicious. I really liked it. I had to like force my boyfriend to go to Chipotle because he was like, we can eat at a real Mexican place, and I was like, that's not why I'm here. Favorite place for hot dogs was Joe's Papaya. It's down near Broadway. I'm not gonna give you any streets because despite the fact that I did understand the street like grid, I think it's like far superior to any other street layout. I now don't remember anything because I'm back and fully in Sydney mode again, where our streets are very like, so I have thrown that out of my brain because it was too good to be true. But I really like the grid system. But I'm not going to tell you the addresses of anything I went to because I don't know where they are. But Joe's Papaya near Broadway, dollar hot dogs, really, really good. Joe's Pizza. Is everyone in New York called Joe? Joe's Pizza. It is an iconic pizza place. When you walk in, it says like Joe's Pizza from Spider-Man, because in Spider-Man, I think he gets like a job at Joe's Pizza. I don't remember the Tobey Maguire one, so I'm gonna have to re-watch that. But Joe's Pizza was incredibly good. Incredibly good pizza. I do love the large slices that you fold. I love that. I want that here. I don't think we have many places that do New York style pizza, but that was... We also tried Five Guys burger and fries, which I loved. That burger is everything. It like tastes homemade and it's delicious. We had that on the last day and I kind of had to eat it on the subway, which was kind of gross, but it was delicious. My only last tidbit on food is that every morning I would go and get a Dunkin' Donuts coffee. Because it's the only good coffee, in my opinion. I know that that's gonna be contentious. I'm sure most of you think it's shit, but it's like $2, it's that big, and it kind of almost tastes like an Australian it doesn't taste like an Australian coffee, but it was drinkable to me. It was like the equivalent of what we can get at 7-Eleven coffees. So for me, Dunkin' Donuts every morning. I got a keep cup to commemorate that memory. That's literally all I have written down that I wanted to talk about with you guys. Just to cap it all off, I had an incredible time. Obviously, you can tell that I really loved my trip, and I was so thankful and happy to go there. And I really do have the travel bug now. After Japan and America, I just want to keep going on trips. But I really hope you guys liked watching. I hope you liked living vicariously through me and my trip. Let me know if you guys like these travel videos. I just think it's like good content since I'm doing something that's not just lying on the couch all day watching The Circle. So if you guys want to see more of these, You won't, because I'm not traveling anytime soon. But I'll, like, if you guys like them, I'll make a video every time I go somewhere. And T will do the same. Tiash is actually going there in May or April? I think May. So I'm sure she'll do something similar like this and tell you guys all about America and do some cool videos. Until then, keep it cute and keep it sweet. And don't forget to follow us on Instagram and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Bye guys.
You guys are really awesome.